Hello, everyone. Welcome to Catherine's ESL Classroom. In today's lesson, we are going to learn about punctuation marks. Are you familiar with some punctuation marks, but not familiar with others and don't know how to use them in a sentence? Well, today, this is your lucky day and you're going to learn them today. So let's get started. Today's lesson, all excited, punctuation marks. Are you ready? Some basic rules. We're going to learn about the period, the question mark, exclamation mark, comma, colon, semicolon, quotation marks. So which ones do you know and which ones don't you know? Now remember, these are just some basic rules, okay? How do we say this in English? It's a dot. I'll give you a clue. It's at the end of a sentence. And you see this most of the time. It's a period. Some people say full stop. But in the American English, we say period. When do we use a period? Well, we use it to complete a statement. For example, it is snowing today. When do we use a period? Here's another basic rule. We also use it for a command. For example, please don't interrupt the class. How do we say this in English? Question mark. Question mark. When do we use a question mark? Do you remember? We use it to ask a direct question. For example, what is she doing tonight? There's another way we can ask a question, but it's an indirect question. For example, I wonder what she's doing tonight. Do you notice there's a difference at the end of the sentence? There's a period. You're probably asking yourself, but there's always supposed to be a question mark at the end of a sentence when you're asking a question. Nope, not necessarily. So the one that we use, a direct question, we use a question mark. And the indirect question, we use a period. Now the hint is, I wonder what she's doing tonight. That's an indirect question. Now people say indirect questions differently. So bonus question, put it on the comments. What is another way of asking an indirect question? Okay. How do you say this in English? Exclamation mark. Everyone repeat, exclamation mark. That's a mouthful, right? Exclamation mark. When do we use an exclamation mark? We use it to express strong feelings, excitement, or interjection. An example of excitement is, wow, that is beautiful. Okay, you notice the excitement? Wow, that is beautiful. An interjection is, watch out, the car is coming fast. Okay, bonus question, put in the comments, what does interjection mean? And do you have another example? How do you say this in English? Comma. Comma. When do we use a comma? We use it to separate a list. For example, my favorite animals are dogs, cats, and birds. Now, we can put commas between dogs and cats, as well as cats and birds. But the one between cats and birds, you do not have to put a comma because the word and is separating the list. So it's up to you. Comma. When do we use a comma? Well, another example is we also use it between the date and the year. For example, it is February 4th, 2021. What's today's date? Put in the comments how you would use a comma for today's date. How do you say this in English? Colon. Did anyone know this? Colon. When do we use a colon? We use it for time. It is 12 p.m. Colon. When do we use a colon? We also use it to introduce a list of items. For example, the bookstore specializes in 3 subjects: art, architecture, and graphic design. Colon. When do we use a colon? When do we not use a colon? Do not use a colon when the listed items are incorporated into the flow of the sentence. For example, an incorrect way of using the colon is the bookstore specializes in art, architecture, and graphic design. So the colon here is incorrect because this disrupts the flow of the sentence. So you do not want the colon in the sentence. Okay. The correct way is the bookstore specializes in art, architecture, and graphic design. Bonus. What else? What other quotation marks are in the sentence and the correct one? Put it in the comments. How do you say this in English? Semicolon. Semicolon. When do we use a semicolon? We use it to connect 2 main clauses. For example, the upperclassmen are permitted off-campus lunch. The underclassmen must remain on campus. So you see the 2 main clauses. So the semicolon, where it ends, think of the 2 main clauses as 2 complete sentences. So if you can make 2 complete sentences, but they're still part of the flow of the conversation or what you want to say, you can put a semicolon, okay? It's up to you. Use a semicolon, or you can end lunch with a period, okay? Bonus question, put in the comments, give me another example of how you would use a semicolon using 2 main clauses and connecting them. Clue. The semicolon is stronger than a comma, but weaker than a period. Semicolon. When do we use a semicolon? We use it to connect two main clauses linked by a transitional expression. For example, accordingly, consequently, for example, nevertheless, so, and thus. These are transitional expressions. An example of using a semicolon connecting two main clauses linked by a transitional expression. Hyperinflation makes it extremely difficult to keep track of prices, semicolon. Thus, which is a transitional expression, thus a quart of milk might cost $10 in the morning and $200 in the afternoon. Wow, this is a tough one, right? Are you reading with me? Okay, so you see the semicolon? Now you notice the transitional expression, the word thus, okay? Another bonus question, put a sentence together and using a transitional expression connecting two main clauses, okay? This is a tough one. Let's see who gets some bonus points. Remember, a semicolon is stronger than a comma, but weaker than a period. Semicolon. When do we use a semicolon? This is one that we don't use a semicolon. Okay, these are some examples of how people are using them incorrectly. So we do not use a semicolon when using a conjunction. Use a comma before the conjunction to complete your thought. Now remember, these are just some basic rules. They're not all the rules. Okay, so there's for. The conjunctions examples are for, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. If you remember my previous lesson, nor, what does that mean? Not plus or put together is nor, remember? So an example, the upperclassmen are permitted off campus, but the underclassmen must remain on campus. You see the conjunction but? The but is after the word lunch. Okay, this is where you put a comma. Remember, use a comma before the conjunction but. Is this starting to make sense? I know this is a little tricky, but you'll get the hang of it. How do you say this in English? Come on, I think you know this one. Quotation marks. Quotation marks. When do we use quotation marks? We use to quote someone or when using word for word. For example, the best investments today, according to Smith, are commodities and emerging market stocks. Wow, that's a lot. Well, think of it as this is what Smith is saying. So Smith is the person. So think of Mr. or Mrs. Smith speaking, and you are writing down word for word what they are saying. This is why we use quotation marks. And you notice the comma is before the quotation mark after the word today. You noticing this? Because we have to complete it. You notice the period after stocks and then the quotation mark? You're starting to get the hang of it now. Quotation marks. Now there's a clue here I wanted to help you with. Commas and periods that are part of the overall sentence go inside the quotation marks, even though they aren't part of the original quotation. This is a correct example. The best investments today, according to Smith, are commodities and emerging market stocks. Okay, remember I used this before? Okay, you see the comma after today and then the ending quotation marks. Okay. When you don't use quotation marks, you notice that the comma is after the ending quotation mark after today. You see how that's incorrect? Okay, we don't want to do that. Knowledge check. Are you ready now? Let's get ready. Okay, so remember, period, question mark, exclamation mark, comma, colon, semicolon, and quotation marks. Okay, quiz time. Now find the missing punctuation. Okay, can you find it? There's two sentences here. He is from Spain. What do we use at the end of the sentence? He is Spanish. Okay, so I'm going to help you out. Which one is correct? Is it comma, period, or colon? And where do we put it in the sentence? Period. I went too fast because it was so easy for you. You were like, move on. Find the missing punctuation. She said, it's expensive. Which one is correct? Quotation marks, question mark, or question mark? Do we use two question marks here? I'm trying to trick you. Now remember, where do we put it and which one is correct? Quotation marks. Find the missing punctuation. She said, this is my dog. Which one is correct? Colon, semicolon, comma. Now, where is the missing punctuation? Where should we put it in the sentence? And which one is correct? Comma. Did you get it? This is getting too easy for you? Don't worry, we're going to have some more hard ones. Find the missing punctuation. Who is she? Come on, this is too easy now, right? Period, exclamation mark, or question mark. Where should we put it in the sentence? And which one do we use? Question mark. Still too easy? Well, let's get ready. Find the missing punctuation. Watch out. Which one is correct? Period, exclamation mark, or semicolon. Okay. Now, bonus. If someone says watch out, do we just say watch out or do we say watch out? Which one? Exclamation mark. Remember, it's an interjection. Find the missing punctuation. I bought a pen, an eraser, a sharpener, and a ruler. Which one is correct? Now you got to find it. Semicolon, comma, colon. 3 commas here. Okay. Did you catch it? Is it still too easy? Don't worry. Trick question. Find the missing punctuation. I bought supplies for school, a pen, an eraser, a sharpener, and a ruler. Which one is correct? Now, first, find the missing punctuation. Semicolon, colon, or comma. Come on, I know you could do it. Which one? Colon. So who got the answer right? Come on, you tell me. Extra bonus points. Find the missing punctuation. Heavy snow continues to fall at the airport. Consequently, all flights have been delayed. That's a tough one. Which one is correct? Semicolon, comma, or no punctuation? Did you find it yet? Semicolon, okay. Heavy snow continues to fall at the airport. Consequently, all flights have been delayed, okay? Consequently, now, which rule is that one? Okay, what's the word consequently mean? Okay, I like to hear your comments. Please write them down. Extra bonus. Find the missing punctuation. Well done. Does anyone know what the missing punctuation is? Come on, I know you know the answer. Exclamation mark. Well done. This is how we say this with excitement. Well done, like this. Well done. Well, until next time, thank you everyone for joining me today and learning more about punctuation marks. Have a wonderful day. Bye.